ever since Jerry Cummings and the folks at Wonderland Amusements dropped the bombshell at the Chicago Pinball Expo 2024 that they were bringing a three-quarter scale mechanical pinball to the home arcade space for less than $1,000, they have been the talk of the town. Can they do it? Well, today we're going to get our first look at the Playfield. That's right. We have 3D renders that were just released by Wonderland Amusements showing what this Playfield looks like. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But before we do, we need to talk about the latest hires by Wonderland Amusement. They have brought on homebrew expert Steve Condris. You may have heard of him from his YouTube channel, The Pinball Room, where he has been producing content for over 3 years, walking people through how to build home brew mechanical pinballs from the ground up. This is Wonderland Amusements' first real expert in the actual mechanical pinball space, and he brings a lot of credibility with him, both in terms of skills, but also experience. And so it is going to be exciting to see how this product develops and matures with Steve on the team. Of course, joining Jerry, Gary, Peter, and all the other fine folks that came to Wonderland from places like ThinkUp, Arcade One Up, New Wave Toys, and others. And as we mentioned, we're here to talk about this new Playfield. We all wondered, how can you do it? What will it look like? We saw that little three-quarter scale pinball, the weight behind it, and we all had questions. And now we are starting to see what may be. As we take a look at this first image, we see a lot of interesting things. Of course, it appears, and again, these are just 3D renders, but it appears we're going to be seeing a combination of metal, wood, plexi, and metal as far as the makeup of this table. You can see where you have that frame that appears to be steel construction. On top of that lays the Playfield that, if we were to guess, is going to be wood. And then that is framed out with a combination of what appears to be plexi or acrylic ramps that meet up with those metal wire rails. We see our bumpers, we see our in lanes, out lanes. It has the components that you would expect from a typical fan design pinball table. And so we're not seeing any toys in this. We do see drop targets. We see what appears to be a capture or a hole where you would lock the ball, a ball lock, though up in that upper right hand corner, what that may actually be is some sort of bash mechanism, or it could be a ball lock. It's hard to tell. Along the shooter lane, as we flip over to another angle, you can see there that there is what appears to be some sort of flap mechanism that can close off or open a ramp into that shooter and outer lane as it rounds up around the top, up towards the bumpers and other scoring opportunities. From this angle, we can also see where they've lined out holes for various LEDs, right? So we can see where we've got some coming up the outer lane on the left side. We've got some coming up those ramps on both the right and the left that appear to be stages of scoring or other kind of jackpot notifiers. We've got a circle in the middle of the Playfield with what is that, 7 or 8? It's eight distinct circles. Those are likely the stages. I'm guessing, if I were just, and pure guess, that if we're talking about how does this game play, that those are going to be the 8 distinct stages that you have to light up in order to maximize your score and complete each challenge on this table. So I'm really excited to see what this looks like. Of course, A couple weeks ago, Wonderland Toys announced that they hired Carlos Mendoza III, who is an artist with experience working in the toy space as well as in art. He's worked with brands like Jada Toys. He's worked on Star Wars, Marvel, all sorts of other lines, in addition to doing his own art. And his style will fit this table perfectly with that whole Alice in Wonderland and kind of a fantasy or horror slash surreal gothic kind of look, which will help this stand out from other tables and other instances of the same IP around Alice in Wonderland. But so you can kind of start to see here where his artwork will start laying on the table. It'll be interesting to see if Wonderland begins to add any toys to this table, where we see that ball lock or the ball bash up in the upper right hand corner. There does seem to be some sort of post there. That would be a nice position for some sort of toy. We also have along or just next to the shooter lane where you see the blue acrylic. There's potential opportunity maybe for a toy or something right there to accent alongside the ramp. It's unclear. This is just a render, but more importantly than just these renders, we have been told that Jerry and the team have traveled to where the designers are overseas. And this week, will be getting their hands on the first physical build of this design. So they will be going out there, they will be playing with it. And this is, again, the round one. It's the prototype, the very early alpha build of this table. So although you see the renders as they do today, in all likelihood, these will change by the time we get to a final product. So if there are things that you see on this table, are you things you see for where opportunities of improvement or things you really like and don't want to see changed, make your voice heard. This is the time to let Jerry and the team know what you think of this table. If you're an experienced pinball player, are there things that stand out to you that could potentially be challenges? Other things that maybe, hey, if you think about this a little different, maybe you'll have more opportunity or more action here and can reduce some of the cost or complexity. I'm just kind of throwing wild ass examples out just to get you guys thinking. Um, but for one, it's exciting to start seeing this come together. There's not a lot of stuff going on in the middle from what we can tell in this render. So that's interesting. And, we see a lot of tables like that. So it's not horribly unusual. Um, but for me, there's a clear area in there above that circle of circles, I'll call it, where there's kind of just nothing. And it would be interesting to see something there, whether that's some additional drop targets or maybe it's something that you think Jaws or some of these other games where you had like a fin pop up and move along, some sort of mechanical thing that lives under the table and maybe rises up. So those could be, like I said, drop targets. They could be the cards. If you think about Alice in Wonderland, the Queen of Hearts, and her card soldiers, maybe they pop up and you hit them and knock them down there. There's definitely some opportunity there for something else to go on in that space. So you're not just led straight into the bumpers and the things up the top. But until we get to see how this is actually playing, how the ball moves around in this table, it's really going to be difficult to make too many suggestions on that front. But if I were to make it a suggestion right there, it seems like there should be something else there. Now, again, no, a lot of tables leave that center wide open like that, so it's not too unusual. Um, but for me, I like to see something kind of use that space, even if it's a center ramp or some center lane, something that gives you some action. So there's not just such a straight shot up into the middle of the table. And of course, as we see it filled out, like I said, maybe there are some mechanisms or something there that will make sense that we're just not yet seeing, and why they've taken this approach. But all in all, we are now seeing it. Of course, we've got the ramps, we've got the drop targets, we've got the bumpers. We are starting to see really this table come together. I am getting more excited. It's moving fast. Quite honestly, I didn't think we'd see any of these renders for maybe a month, and then it'd be another month or two before we got any kind of glimpse of the physical side. But with them traveling this week to actually go get their hands on the first build, the first prototype, we may get photos and videos of that sooner than we ever thought possible, which means this thing, they're targeting later next year for the release of this. And of course, maybe doing a Kickstarter or some sort of pre-sale. That's yet to be determined. But man, this thing could be closer than anybody thought possible. So I am really excited to see where the next few weeks brings us and what news we get coming around the bend. And I'd like to hear from you guys. You made it to the end of this video, of course. So leave your comments. Tell us what you think of the new design of the Playfield. Again, any suggestions you guys have, definitely let us know below, because we would love to hear them. And be sure to smash the like button. Thanks for watching the video. And if you want more updates on Wonderland Amusements, Alice in Wonderland table, or Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, or whatever name they come up with for this table, be sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. And as always, until next time, have fun.